You say he arrived here illegally. He sexually assaulted 2 people, one of whom was a 14-year-old schoolgirl. He was mistakenly released, and then the UK give him hundreds of pounds to get on a plane. I mean, it's kind of beyond belief. What does all that say about your government?
Well, we've got to look at what happened.
We've got to look into what happened. Mike Tapp, everybody, the Under-Secretary of State for Migration and Citizenship. And I've got to say, I was willing to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Despite his passionless, gormless demeanour there, as the presenter was describing to him, the horrors and incompetence of modern Britain, the absolute shambolic state of everything. For those of you who don't know what they're talking about this migrant Kabatu from Ethiopia, who rocked up on the shores of Dover back in the summer, and within a month he'd been arrested for sexually assaulting several women, including a young girl, as was mentioned in the intro there, and he had an immediate deportation order, but the prison where he was being held, instead of sending him to a migration centre which was going to process his deportation, they released him onto the street, and he wandered around London for several days asking police for help, trying to explain to them that he was an illegal migrant and that he should be in prison.
Yesterday, I get a police. Look here. Please, I am wanted man. I arrested. I will give you my hand. Please help him. Where is police station? He ignored me. He drive.
And when they finally caught up with him and realised they needed to deport him, he started saying he wasn't going to leave and that he'd caused problems for them. So they gave him 500 quid and sent him on a plane back to Ethiopia. And this guy is the guy who's in charge of all of that. And this interview goes from bad to worse. It's amazing.
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
Last Friday, as it was an utter embarrassment and utterly disgraceful that happened, and the Minister for Justice has made that very clear. That's why we're now conducting a review, which, by the way, never happened under the previous government when there were releases
But when
made.
you put it all...
It's incredible that these people are in charge, really. I mean, I've said this before, I've made the same analogy. It reminds me of me, aged about 13 at school, and being told that my behaviour was totally unacceptable and having to sort of pretend like I cared, you know, oh God, I know it's awful, really, and I'm going to have to really take a long, hard look in the mirror. Oh God, yeah, they're going to do a review, are they?
That's why we're now conducting a review, which, by the way, never happened under the previous government when there were releases
But when
made
you put it all
accidentally.
together, it looks, doesn't it? I mean, you tell me if this is unfair. Like you're completely incompetent.
Now, my problem with this whole case isn't really so much that there are administrative errors from time to time, the wrong people get released from prison. It's almost inevitable in a country of 68 million people that some fuckwit will not do his job properly from time to time, right? But given the climate at the moment, given the fact that this guy was on an immediate deportation order, given the fact that 3 people are in prison for protesting what he did, the Epping riots at the Epping Hotel. Three people are serving 2-year sentences, 3 men, because they were angry about what this guy did. Sexually assaulting women in the area. 3 guys go to prison for 2 years. This guy was given a 12-month sentence and then an immediate deportation order, and he's let out onto the street. It's kind of the worst possible thing that could happen to a government, and you'd think they would make sure that didn't happen, given the fact that everyone's so angry at the moment about this kind of thing. That's the one thing you would not want to happen.
A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
I have exactly the same view of you on this individual and on the incident on Friday, and that's why it's really important that the new Home Secretary and the new Minister for Justice ensure that it never happens again. That's why that review is there, and that's why also we're looking at the legal routes that are being abused by these people to ensure they can't. That we've removed 14% more over the last 12 months than the previous government of foreign national offenders. We're taking this seriously. We also removed over 35,000 who shouldn't be here.
You know, this is really the sickening thing about politicians nowadays, people like Mike Tapp, is that even when he's not, like a lot of them are, straight out of university career politicians, this guy has done 3 tours of Iraq. He's worked for MI5 or some intelligence agency. He's now the Under-Secretary of State for Citizenship and Migration, right? So you might even think that this job that he's got, this top job, is his passion. Okay, he understands the Middle East. He understands, like, espionage and James Bond shit, okay? You might think that this guy, you look at him, fresh-faced young whippersnapper like that, you could be fooled with the things he's saying in the interview there, which, to be fair, we are doing a bit more on. We've removed 35,000 people, 14% more than the previous government. And you might go, okay, the voice is a bit weird, but he's saying the right things. He's hitting his marks, you know. He's saying that, to be fair, this incident with Kabatu is a terrible moment, a slip-up. As incredible as it seems, you could even get away with it. You're going to see in the interview now that this guy, again, just like my 13-year-old self saying, I need to take a long, hard look at myself in the mirror. All right, I didn't know what that meant. It was just a thing that people said. Okay, he knows that illegal immigration is a thing people care about, but he doesn't know why. It doesn't even occur to him to think a little bit further ahead. He gets caught out by any minor detail, as you shall see. And that's what it is. These people are just trying to get through the next interview. They're just trying to get their next foothold, their next climb the next rung on the ladder, trying to slither their way to the top. Any means necessary, you know? He's probably looking at someone like Keir Starmer like, well, if he could do it with his voice, maybe the public will accept me too.
Okay,
and we're moving people out of hotels into larger accommodation.
Hadush Kebatu is now back in Ethiopia. Has he gone straight to jail there?
I can't comment on exactly what's happened at the other end.
Well, let me tell you what the Ethiopian Federal Police say. He's been released there because there's no legal basis for his continued detention.
Whoops, oh well, never mind. It's just, look at fucking, like, he just couldn't care less unless it makes him look bad, you know? Which it does, by the way. And Labour are going to pay for this in the coming elections. It's so insane that your job is to deal with migration and citizenship in these cases. And this is the biggest case at the moment. It's so huge. 3 people are in jail because of this guy. People have been assaulted by him. And you've paid his plane ticket and given him 500 quid to spend in Ethiopia. That goes a long way in Ethiopia, so I'm told. You know, you can have quite the night out in Addis Ababa with 500 quid in your back pocket. They've the whole shitstorm that has been kicked up by this, and they say to him, "Do you know what's happened to him now?" And he goes, "Well, I can't say." And the fucking presenter of Newsnight's like, "Well, we know. He's back on the streets in Ethiopia. He could just come back to England whenever he feels like it." How long would it take them to work out who he was? He could go to France. He could go, like... Do you not see why people care about this kind of thing, you idiot?
How do you think the 14-year-old schoolgirl who is sexually assaulted and the woman who is sexually assaulted will feel about him being given 500 quid and then being set free after a couple of months in jail?
My view, and I'm firm on this, is that I don't want that man in this country posing a threat, and he doesn't anymore.
Ooh, let that be a warning to you, eh? If any of you other Ethiopians want to come over here and feel up our women, I'm clear on this. I don't want to be a good riddance. It's incredible. What a time to be alive.
He would have been in jail in this country. Now he's free, and you're giving him 500 quid to be on his way. How do you think that girl will feel?
I would much rather him not be in this country at all.
So it's all right to potentially re-offend and sexually assault Ethiopian women?
Look,
shut up, you mad kestrel. If this government finds out any Ethiopian women are at risk, they'll go nuclear. They'll move our warheads into the Red Sea tomorrow morning. Look, I don't think there's any real risk, though, to Ethiopian women, because even Ethiopia is a more serious country than the UK now. If he did what he did in the UK in Ethiopia, he'd be looking at 20 years in prison, according to ChatGPT and Wikipedia. I think the women of Ethiopia can sleep sound tonight. Yeah, more soundly than the women of the UK, at least.
What the Ethiopian law enforcement do is for them to decide. We are our own nation. We are looking to secure our borders after we inherited a mess, and it's up to us who stays here. And it's right, in my view, that he didn't stay here, and he's not here anymore.
He was given a 12-month jail sentence by a UK court. He was made the subject of a 5-year sexual harm prevention order. He was put on the UK sex offenders register for 10 years. What was the point of any of that?
Well, he's been removed, and that's what matters.
And he's free.
And it's important that people realise also he was in detention from July, and often
a couple of months,
and often
for all that,
and
for 2 counts of sexual assault, 1 count of attempted sexual assault, 1 count of inciting a girl to engage in sexual activity, and 1 count of harassment without violence.
And
2 months in jail for that.
Often we, of course, see these sentences reduced for various reasons. I'm not saying it would be in this case.
Good save there. It was a 12-month sentence. He would have been back out on the streets in no time. But maybe not. I'm not saying... He's in Ethiopia now.
The important thing for me is that he's not in the country, and I don't want these sexual offenders and violent individuals here, and that's why we will continue to increase deporting foreign national offenders.
Oh, wow, Mikey Tapp, you're starting to sound like one of those crazy ethno-nationalists I've been hearing so much about. We don't want the murderers and rapey people in our country. I've had enough. We'll give them £500 and that's enough for you, Mr. Wapey. Back to Ethiopia with you. Huh? Well, he certainly nailed his colours to the mast.
He'd been in the country for 8 days, having arrived on one of those small boats. His trial also heard a day later he sexually assaulted a woman who was trying to kiss her, putting his hand on her leg and telling her she was pretty. She subsequently called 999.
I'd take that as a no then, Kabatu. It's never a good sign when they call 999. Look, it's not a laughing matter. Things like this are happening. This is the least of all the things that have happened recently. We saw the young mother killed by a migrant at the hotel where she was working on her way home, butchered to death. We saw the guy in Uxbridge the other day, filmed as he lay on the floor, again being sliced up by someone. You know, I was watching James O'Brien talking about this last night, and he was saying some things which I kind of understand. He was saying how some people are rubbing their hands, they're rubbing their thighs with glee every time something like this happens, because then they can use this as an excuse to demonise a certain group of people.
Terrible events in Uxbridge yesterday, reportedly involving, and I have to say that for legal reasons, a man who came here from Afghanistan on a lorry. If somebody gets murdered and your first response is delight at the opportunity it will give you to malign or demonize other people who have absolutely nothing to do with that murder, there is something very deeply wrong with you.
I don't think the majority of the people in the UK who are having these angry and fearful responses to everything that's going on around them, seeing their country getting more and more dangerous, feeling less and less at home in their own cities, I don't think they were sitting there for years waiting for this to happen. Finally, I can demonise people.
and we now know the circumstances in which he was accidentally released. 262 prisoners were accidentally released last year, but none have proved as embarrassing for the Ministry of Justice as this one. This is a Whitehall farce, without any doubt. But what about these extra checks? Do you think it will make any difference? And how can Labour really say that they're trying to crack down on the gangs when they just release sex offenders onto the streets?
Look, I'm sure James O'Brien would think that I'm some kind of agent of chaos provocateur. I'm rubbing my thighs with glee every time something awful happens. But I don't think I'm doing that. I honestly wish we could agree on certain things. I understand that it's not good to whip people up into a frenzy. I don't think are you all frenzied watching my video? I'm sure you're all fine. You're all got a blanket round you on the sofa, a cup of cocoa. That's how people watch the Daniel Boland show, I believe. I'm led to believe. My research team tell me. Look, what am I trying to say? People's lives are getting tangibly worse. That's why they're angry and scared. They're living in areas where there used to be a hotel. As you said on your show yesterday, there used to be a hotel where people paid 100 quid a night, and now it's just full of people who don't speak the language and look a bit crazy, a lot of them. You know. Sorry, there are a lot of illegal immigrants in the UK right now. There are asylum seekers who I'm taking up with the Home Office. They're fake asylum seekers because about 8 out of 10 applications get rejected. That is definitely causing chaos in the streets. That is definitely causing problems for people who live near those situations. Pretending that they're all just thick and they're being manipulated by Nigel Farage isn't going to make the problem go away. And when you go right to the top and you see a bumbling fool like Keir Starmer struggling through every interview, we are doing things to tackle immigration. Or Mikey, what's his face here? Puss in Boots, Bath, Tap. Mikey Tap. Who's like, he's better off in Ethiopia. We'll give him £500. That's enough. No more. That's just going to make things worse, isn't it? Nobody is going to have confidence in a government that's allowed this to happen. People are going to be angry.
Right, they've got him to engage with a man with a knife. You've got him to engage with a man with a knife. That's about as far as the police gets. You just told me 2 policemen in there. You saw him carrying a knife and you did nothing. You engaged with him. But if I was to go to Tesco's and I was to buy a knife and I carry it down this street, I would be arrested. But you do nothing. You're a disgrace. You shouldn't be wearing this uniform. You serve no one. You serve these immigrants. That's what you serve. If he was to come out of the knife and attack us, what do you do? What do you do? You waiting for him to attack us? Yeah, so they can arrest us. You're disgusting.
There is something very, very wrong with you. And Elon Musk's great achievement since buying Twitter is to make those people feel normal. To respond to hideous crimes by rubbing your hands in glee, rubbing your thighs in delight at the opportunity it provides you with to attack human beings who have nothing whatsoever to do, have no more to do with the crime that's being committed than you do, but you see this as a wonderful opportunity to attack them, you really need to give your head the mother of all wobbles.
Oh, I've given my head a wobble all right, James. Maybe you should give yours a bit of a wobble. Because it seems to me, even after all of my head wobbling, that you... what you don't like is that you no longer have a monopoly over the information. I don't mean you personally. I mean the mainstream media that you had just a few short years ago. Because even after the explosion of social media, the same companies were basically dictating what could and couldn't be said. Up until when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and that had a ripple effect on the other platforms, where to where today they're being a bit more permissive about what people can say. The fact is that for decades there was a silent majority of uneducated non-elites who had their opinions but could never express them. And that was the status quo that you were happy with. I'm not saying there aren't grifters out there. Sure there are. Of course there are. But I think your real problem is with the ruffians. You know? I think you really don't like the fact that their shitty lives are getting broadcast to the world now. You'd like to pretend that everyone's living like the Butts in Brentford, like you are, you know, in a lovely, very upper class area where there's true diversity, eh? The best kind. Spanish tapas bars, Italian waitresses. Yeah. Yeah, we all love that kind of diversity. And that's all I've got to say about this. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I've had a lovely time. Have you had a lovely time? Give the video a like if you have done. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And join my Patreon if you don't want me doing ad reads about ball shavers and stuff, you know, and VPNs and what other evil things. Oh yeah, smokings, and there's some good videos up on my Patreon that you can look at, get some access to those exclusive videos. I'm going to be making more soon, I promise. I've had a bit of a hectic month. What else? Nothing else. I'll leave you with the outro. I'll see you in the next one.
Saturday, I get a police. Look here. Please, I am wanted man. I arrested. I will give you my hand. Please help him. Where is police station? He ignored me. He drive. But also, I am not unknown. The police station, where is the place? I am not Google it. But also, I get the police. I will give you my hand. Please help me. Where is the police station? Take me. My name is Hadush Kebatu. I am national of Ethiopia. Please, I want the mistake release from Chelmsford prison.